Welcome to the final week of Nonfiction Readers Advisory, Beyond the Basics. This week is all about staying current and ahead, which can be challenging and exhausting. There are resources that I use to stay current and ahead, many of which are featured here. I don't use all of these resources all the time, but they are beneficial at different points in time. So in your lecture notes, feel free to click on any of the icons or images in order to go directly to that resource. So to start, review outlets are still influential. However, several are decreasing in size and or reviewing fewer nonfiction than in previous years. And similar to review outlets, bestseller lists are still prominent. However, there are fewer lists lately, and they're covering fewer nonfiction books than before. I want to clarify that this is not the fault of the review outlets themselves, but rather a reflection of the ever-changing nature of the publishing industry. This makes it challenging for covering nonfiction, which is why I like to browse multiple outlets when time permits to see which books are receiving attention and where. And publishers are filling this discoverability gap in several ways. The Big Five, which are Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, Macmillan, and HarperCollins, all have dedicated library marketing departments and nonfiction-specific newsletters. They are also investing a lot of money and resources in sites that you might be familiar with, including Edelweiss, NetGalley, Library Reads, and Early Word. Edelweiss and NetGalley are two of the primary ways that I stay up to date. They offer advanced reader copies of upcoming nonfiction books on a regular basis. I should specify the books they offer are not just from the Big Five, but from indie and academic publishers as well. So next, celebrity book clubs. So I included an additional video on them because I appreciated her statement that whether you love them or loathe them, they have influence and they are here to stay. I would also have to second her in saying Oprah's book club, while still prominent, is not as influential as it once was, while Reese's book club and Read with Jenna have grown in popularity in recent years. If you are a fan of podcasts, there are several book-related or literary-related podcasts that can help you stay up to date. These are but a few. And with any of these recommendations, see what works best for you and your workflow. There is no right or wrong answer when staying up to date. That said, by request, I want to talk briefly about the influence of social media. BookTok, Bookstagram, and BookTube have increasing influence. BookTok is the book side of TikTok, Bookstagram is the book side of Instagram, and BookTube is the book side of YouTube. BookTok in particular has had an influence on fiction sales, and it has been influencing nonfiction lately as well. Specifically, Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall is having a resurgence because of BookTok. Lastly, there are resources that cover buzzworthy nonfiction, so you can easily stay up to date on which books are popular and in demand. LitHub's Bookmarks and Library Journal's Book Pulse are two of my go-to resources for staying up to date with nonfiction and what is trending at any given moment. Shelf Awareness and BookRight are also helpful. And if you're interested in email newsletters, they each have a newsletter option. Lastly, there are several awards that focus on nonfiction. Some of these might be familiar. I want to highlight some that might be less familiar. The Bram Stoker Award focuses on horror, which is having a resurgence as of late. I find this award to be helpful with staying current with nonfiction horror. Also, audiobooks have been around for a while now, but they are continuing to grow in popularity. And the Audies highlight noteworthy fiction and nonfiction audiobooks. So I want to end with advice to keep in mind. You don't need to learn and memorize every single outlet for discovering nonfiction. Visit a few and see what helps you best stay up to date. Lastly, I included some optional reading lists that I found to be a nice starting point for nonfiction that was published this year. If you have a routine, I would love to hear more about it. Feel free to share in this week's discussion. I also included a resource on avoiding burnout, since it could happen when it comes to any aspect of librarianship. It's most important to take care of yourself before you take care of your community. Thank you again for being here, and please feel free to stay in touch.